Hey, you all. It's your girl, Y Renee here, and it is 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm so excited. It's time for Let's Talk About All Things Divorce. This is the last day of the month, but however, I've had a couple people that I might have to carry this conversation into into September, excuse me. So I'm really excited about this. Hello, and thank you for joining me. Those joining me live, those watching the replay, I really do appreciate you. Hopefully, some of these conversations,
Hey,
if not
you
all the
all, it's your girl,
conversations,
Y
have
Renee
been
here,
intriguing and have
I'm
I'm so excited.
giving you some good
It's
nuggets to
time
take
for
away.
Let's Talk
Again, I
About
am
All
an
Things
advocate,
Divorce. This
definitely for the
is
institution of
the last day of
marriage.
the month, but
However, I've had a
there
couple
are
people
people
whose marriages
that I
have,
might have to
for
carry
whatever
this
reason, dissolved,
conversation into
and they're now divorcees like myself.
Excuse me.
And
So
what caused this
I'm really
conversation to
excited
start
about this.
off with
Hello, and thank
was
you
me
for
just having a
joining
conversation
me.
with a couple
Those joining
girls,
me live, those watching
or
the
young
replay, I
ladies.
really do appreciate you.
When I was at a
Hopefully, some
conference
of
and
these
we were talking
conversations,
about
if
checking
not
the
all the
box,
conversations,
when
have
we were
been
talking about applications and
intriguing
things like
and
that.
have
And then it got to the point
give
of
you
we're
some
talking
good nuggets
about
to
in
take
your
away.
divorce
Again,
or
I
after your
am an
divorce, what
advocate
things kind of trigger you to
definitely
make
for the
you
institution of
kind of
marriage.
shift, shy away from
However,
relationships,
there
or
are
shy
people
away
whose
from the
marriages have,
institution of
for
marriage of
whatever reason,
everything you might want to
dissolved,
get married
and they're
again,
now divorcees
things of
like
that
myself.
nature.
So
And what caused this
I'm really
conversation to
excited.
start
If
off
you all
with
have
was me
not,
just having a
this your first
conversation with a
time
couple
watching or
girls
first time joining me,
or young ladies.
please, when you
When I
have
was
a
at a
moment,
conference and
go
we were
back
talking
and watch
about
the
checking the
entire
box,
series. Hey,
when we were
Queen,
talking about
how are
applications
you?
and things like that. And then
Go
it
back and
got to
watch
the
the
point
entire
of we're
series.
talking
I've had
about in
people
your divorce
on
or after your
every
divorce, what
day,
things kind of trigger you to make you kind of
with the
shift,
exception of
shy away
last
from
week because I was on
relationships,
vacation.
or
I don't know if
shy away from
you
the
all can tell,
institution of
but
marriage of
I noticed
everything
it
you might want to get
myself.
married again,
Hello,
things
daughter.
of that
I
nature.
noticed it
So
myself the other day. I'm a lot
I'm
darker
really
than I was.
excited.
If you
The
all have
videos
not,
as of the
this is your first
22nd,
time
which I'm
watching or first
excited. I want
time
to get a lot
joining me,
darker
please,
where I was, but it did not
when you
work.
have a moment, go
But that's
back
okay
and watch
because I'm
the
gonna go somewhere
entire
else
series.
again and
Hey,
lay in the
Queen,
sun.
how are
So
you? My guest is now coming
go back and watch
on.
the entire series. I've had
I
people
had
on every
inquired
day,
about some people, or I actually put it
with
out
the
there to
exception of
interview
last week
people.
because I was
Some
on
people I
vacation.
actually
I don't know
knew,
if any of you
some
all could
people I do
tell, but
not know.
I
Like
noticed
this
it
young lady who
myself. You are bringing
hello,
on right
daughter.
now.
I
Her
noticed
name
myself the
is
other day. I'm
Marie
a lot darker
Hall,
than I was.
and
The videos as of the 22nd,
yes, I
which
was
I'm excited. I want to get a lot darker where I was,
hello,
but it
Miss
did not
Hall.
work.
How are you?
But that's
Hey,
okay
I'm
because I'm gonna go
good.
somewhere
How are
else again
you?
and lay in the
I'm
sun.
good.
So my
So
guest is
I'm
now coming
excited about
on.
this conversation, of course,
I
and
had
apparently you are too,
inquired
because you've been
about some
joining me, I
people,
believe,
or
most
I
of the
actually
month,
put it
if
out there to
not
interview people.
seeing
Some people I
a
actually
couple
knew,
of
some people I do not
posts
know,
here and
like this young
there.
lady who
So
are bringing on
before we
right
get
now.
started,
Her
I want to say
name is
welcome.
Marie
This is my
Hall,
first time actually
and
talking to you. You're a beautiful queen, by the way. Just to let you
yes,
know, your
Alice is
smile
my
is
baby.
radiant.
Thank
So,
you. Miss
oh,
Hall,
no
how are
problem.
you?
So,
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
the way I
I'm
like, and I
good.
don't know how many
So I'm
interviews
excited
you've
about
actually
this
watched from the
conversation, of
beginning.
course, and
And
apparently
again, I
you
want
are
to
too
thank those
because you've
people
been
who are
joining
joining
me,
us
I
live and
believe,
those
most of
watching
the
the
month, if
replay.
not
Seeing
I
a couple of
really
posts here and there.
Yes.
So before we get
hold on one
started, I
second
want
because
to
I
say
don't want somebody
welcome.
to call
This is
me
my first
and
time
they just
actually
text them.
talking
I'm
to
gonna
you.
call
You're a
you in a minute.
beautiful
No,
queen, by the way.
everybody
Just
should know
let you
I
know
go
your
on
smile
live
is
at 7 o'clock.
radiant.
That just shows you
So,
that people don't be paying
no problem. So,
attention to
Right.
me. So you know what?
the
Why
way
don't we
I
do
like,
this?
and
Since
I
I'm
don't know how
taking care of
many
this right now, would you please
interviews you've
introduce
actually
yourself and tell
watched from
people
the
a little bit
beginning.
about you, and then we'll get into
And
the
again, I want to
conversation.
thank those people who are joining us live and
Hello,
those watching
everyone
the
out
replay.
there on
Um,
IG. My
I
name is Marie
really,
Hall, and I'm just honored
I
to be here
hold on one
tonight.
second because
I
I don't
am
want
an
somebody to call me
international
and they
speaker
just
and
text them. I'm gonna call you in a minute.
author.
No,
I am
everybody should know I go on
the
live at 7
founder
o'clock.
of
That just
Winner
shows you that
Learning
people don't be
Academy
paying
and Myrtle Street
attention to
Publishing.
me. So you know what? Why don't we
And
do this?
I'm
Since
just
I'm taking
grateful
care
to
of
be
this right
here
now, would you
tonight.
please introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the
Amazing. Thank you very
conversation.
much.
I
Hello,
appreciate that so
everyone
much.
out there on
So, like I
IG.
said,
My
starting
name
off these
is Marie
conversations, it was just a
Hall,
conversation I had
and
with two young ladies
I'm
while I was
just
at
honored
a
to be here
conference
tonight.
in
I am an
Atlanta about a month
international
ago,
speaker and
and we were talking about
author.
things
I
that
am the
trigger
CEO and
people after
founder
divorce.
of
So,
Winner
like, kind of
Learning
start off with this
Academy
whole
and
thing
Myrtle
about checking
Street
the box. You know, there are
Publishing.
some applications
And
that people
I'm
want to be in
just
your
grateful
business.
to
They
be
need to
here
know if you
tonight, really.
single, married, separated, living with somebody,
Amazing.
divorced,
Thank you
under a
very much.
bridge,
I
over
appreciate
around the
that so
corner,
much.
down the street with somebody.
So,
So,
like I said, starting off these conversations, it was
so
just a conversation I had
um,
with two young ladies while I
at
was
this
at
present
a
point in
conference
time, if you had to look at
in
that
Atlanta
application,
about a month
or
ago, and we were
do you
talking
check,
about
what
things
box do you
that
check right now?
trigger people after divorce. So,
For
like, kind of
myself
start off with
or
this
for
whole
the
thing
other
about checking
person?
the box.
No,
You
for
know,
you,
there are some
sweetie, for you. Look,
applications
for you,
that people want to
because
be in
that
your
other box,
business.
if
They
you're
need to
checking with
know if you
I
somebody else, single, married, separated, living with somebody, divorced, under a bridge, over around the corner, down the street with somebody else. We may check something that ain't. We might put our own little box at the bottom at this present point in time. If you had to look at that application, or do you check what box do you check? Right now? Okay, so how many times have you been
For
married?
myself or for the other person? person.
One time. No, for you. And how you look for you? And how long did your marriage last?
Somebody
else, we might say something bad.
We were married for about 13 years.
Okay, very good.
On paper.
No, if we try to check about somebody else, we may check something that ain't. We might put our own little box at the bottom and give it a whole nother title. So
13 years
we talking about self. Okay, and how long have you been divorced now? Okay, so how many times have you been married?
For about 8 or 9
one time.
years.
And how many? Okay, very good. Very how long did your marriage last?
Maybe a little longer than that. We
were
married
so
here about 13 years on paper. We were separated and then we tried to get back together, but that didn't work out.
For a while after my divorce, I took myself out to dinner to treat myself every year. How long have you been divorced? I think I did it for like 4 years, and I kind of fell off. Yeah, I was just that excited to be divorced every year. Like you celebrate a wedding anniversary. Okay, very good, very good.
Maybe a little longer.
Okay,
so I stopped counting when divorced because I never got married to get divorced, but I never should have gotten married in the first place.
I do understand. For a while after my divorce, you preaching to the choir. Myself out to dinner and treat myself. So I don't know if you know my story, Marie. I think I did it for like 4 years. And I am a 15-year domestic abuse survivor. Yeah. So when I say I was just that excited to celebrate because every year, like you celebrate a wedding, when going through it, of course we know that going through divorce is like a death. I mean, it's nothing fun to go through. It's very, very difficult. However, when the other party decides that they want to be, and I'm going to try to keep this PG, a jerk, you preach to the choir that my divorce could have been over with within probably 60 to 90 days. Synopsis: I am a 15-year domestic abuse survivor, so when I say I celebrate because at tendencies, things like that. Going through it, my divorce, which like I said, could have ended in like 90 days for like a year, 2 months. I mean, it's nothing fun to go through. If I knew the hour and the second, I probably could actually tell you how long that was too. But I did not calculate that they want to be, and I'm going to try to keep this PG a jerk. Exactly what time I said I do. So that my divorce could have been over with within probably 60 to 90 days. And becoming because of control, freed from that situation, for tendencies, things like that. Even though my divorce, which like I said, could even though I went for a whole year, 2 months, and 9 days. My upset. If I knew the hour and the second, I probably could actually tell you how long that was. Generally, do not get married to get divorced. Because I don't remember. However, I think I remember exactly what time I said. But for me, because I had such a peace after God released me from it. So that's why for me that I didn't want to be becoming depressed on that day, freed from that situation. For me, and I'm somebody who's really good. Even though I mourned the marriage, for me not to focus even though I had to do something to make it better. My upset on my actual, like you said, for a while, people generally do not get married to get divorced. I made sure I didn't necessarily take myself out, but I made sure I was with family and friends. But for me, because I had such a peace, things like that. So those are the things that I do from it. I didn't want to be. So anyway, we're gonna go back to you. Depressed on that day because that day can also, and I'm somebody who's really big on something. You said that you all separated, focus on the date itself. I had to do something to make it better. One of my questions that I asked people on my actual, if you for a while, if you believe within yourself, because you can't speak for the other party, but I made sure I didn't necessarily take myself out. But do you feel that you did everything imaginable to try to things like that? So those are the things that I do. So yeah, I had to celebrate because apparently, like you said, you wanted to be married. It's not like you wanted a divorce. So do you think you crossed all the I's and dotted all the T's? You said that you all separated only to try to reconcile, to fix it. So one of my questions that I ask people is, if you believe within yourself, because you can't speak for the other party, but within Marie, do you feel that you did everything imaginable to try to save your marriage? So like I am now. Because apparently, like you said, you wanted to be married. It's not like you wanted to divorce. So, do you think you crossed all the I's and dotted all the T's? Now, hindsight,
and I wanted this big fairy tale marriage, everything, have all these things that you see on TV and everything. But I was never really in love with my husband. Mentally stable, like I am now. And I still had, when I got attached, I was to my ex-boyfriend, so I still had that soul tie to someone else. Love, and when I started dating fairy tale marriage, it was more so I was just having a good time that you see on TV and everything. But I was married, so I don't think that I did everything I did. Try to save I loved him and I cared about him, but I wasn't in love. But then when I wanted to save the marriage, he didn't want to save the marriage. And then when he wanted to save the marriage, I didn't want to soul tie to someone else. And really, when I started dating my ex-husband, but you know how God more so I was just having a good time. Married. Then all of a sudden, had all the signs there, marriage, so but I don't think that I did everything I did. Try to now, my ex-husband, he wasn't an abuser, but then when I wanted to save the marriage, he didn't want to save the marriage. And then when he wanted to save the marriage, and I didn't want to save the marriage. Like I was get high, really, I don't pretty much any of those things after that. I found out how God shows you signs before you get married, type of thing. I had all the signs there, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to see the signs. And now my ex-husband, I was younger, and when I was married, I was always like a pleaser. I wanted to make sure that everybody got what they wanted. Like, I wasn't necessarily getting what I wanted. Any of those things. And I found out at all that I made sure that was whatever he wanted, whatever he needed, he got. So however, I didn't whenever I didn't want someone like that. And I've always been when I was younger, and so when I was married, I was always together. That was one of the pleaser. I wanted to make sure that everybody got what they wanted, have a child, but I wasn't necessarily getting what I wanted to raise my son without a parent because I lost my father when I was whatever 11 he wanted, years old. Whatever he needed, so, he got. That hit home for me. Like I don't want my son to be without his dad, and so that was very difficult. So but when we had a child together, that was one of everything that I possibly can. I was in church. Now we both were in church, and but you know how you can be in church but not in church without a parent because I lost my father when I was 11 years old. Get so my Bible that hit home from me. I'd be in church, but on the rest of the week, I'm doing whatever I wanted to do. And so that was very difficult, but not really I don't allowing, necessarily God everything that I possibly me to build a relationship with God, I should say. And so. But you know how you can be in church but not in church. I think I did what I thought I was in right church but not in church. And like what was best for me. Get my Bible on Sunday, and you know I'll be in church. You know that part of my life is doing whatever I wanted to do.
Okay, so you know you hit on quite a few subjects here that I'm going to get into. So again, thank you for your transparency. Thank you for joining us, those who are watching live. My friends Nicole and Elizabeth have joined us. And thank you for those watching the replay. I do really appreciate you. Please like, share this video. I think you'll get some good nuggets here. So. What you realizing that you were not in love with your now ex-husband and you married him. Okay, so you know you hit on quite a few subjects here that mentally, emotionally. So again, thank you for your transparency. Thank you for joining us. Did you all do any type of counseling? Because you mentioned being people of faith or people that went to church, maybe not having the relationship you probably should have had. Those watching the replay, I do really appreciate you. Please like, share this video. I think you'll get some good nuggets here. So, however, what you realizing that you did you all have counseling beforehand? Now ex-husband and you married him. We did go to counseling. Our pastor attached us mentally, emotionally to your previous boyfriend. That I tell people about did you all do any type of counseling? Because you mentioned being people of faith or people that went to church, maybe not having the relationship you probably should have had. You have to be with the Lord, walking into these type of covenants. However, I got married, you did you all have counseling beforehand? And I wasn't totally transparent. We did go to counseling. Our pastor counseled us. My pastor what I didn't really like. Here's the thing that I tell people about counseling. But if you're gonna go to counseling, because I totally believe in counseling now. Remember, if you're going to go to counseling for the wedding, because I was in California at that time. I'm originally from Ohio, so my mother came out 26 years old for the wedding and everything, and she looked me straight in the eyes, and she was like, "You're not ready to get married." What I got really so like, or what angry at her because I was like, "How dare you gonna tell me what I'm ready to do?" Those things hidden, and I remember I knew that mother was right. You know, your parents always know. Your mama know. Don't nobody else know. Your mama originally from Ohio, so my mother came out. For the wedding and everything, and she looked me straight in the eyes, and she was like, right, "You're not I didn't want to be embarrassed for and one. I got so angry at her because I was like, how dare you gonna tell me what I'm ready to do?"
So I was like, down inside, back out of the wedding. I knew that she was right. You know, your parents invited all these people. Your mama knows. And don't nobody else, you know, I didn't want to be shamed. And so I went on ahead and went through with it. But once I was married, deep down inside, she was right, but I didn't want to be embarrassed. I was committed, but down the road, it was just already spent. It so just much wasn't money working on the wedding. Me. So I was like, this is not out of the wedding. I know this is not what God has me. We invited all these not at all. And you know, it was just, you know, I didn't want to be shamed. And so I went on ahead and got married like it, but once I was married, I was taking care of him before we got married. Seeing it like I helped him get. I was committed, but down the road, it was just. And then like it just wasn't working for me, and I was like in and out of jobs. I know this is not what God has to do bad by myself. Not at all. You know, but anybody to help me do bad. I can do bad by myself. Before we got married, like when you live in California, listen, taking care of him is expensive. Before we got married, gotta really like I'll help take two people unless you just making millions of dollars. And then two salaries if you're gonna be a family. It was like. He was
okay, so let's go back to something you said that was very important. Now, people have commented when I asked them about the counseling part, and they'll say that they
do bad. I can do
that
bad
they
by
were
myself. And
that they need to be honest,
listen,
and people need to be transparent. But you're the first person I can remember, and I may be wrong, that actually has admitted
millions of dollars
that you weren't totally honest
if you're gonna be a family.
Do you want to talk about? Okay, so let's go back to something you said that was very important. Now, people have commented out when I asked them about the counseling part, kind of withheld, and they'll say that they the counseling that they were
like when
that they need to be honest.
Counseling us.
And people need to be transparent, but you're the first person I can remember, and I may be wrong, that actually has admitted that you weren't totally honest.
What are our triggers with
Do you want to talk about what areas you were not honest in? Like, is there something that stands out of your mind, particularly that you kind of withheld from the counseling?
So I wanted to make everybody happy, and I just kind of went along to get along. Pastor was counseling us, and so I wasn't honest in that area. I wasn't honest us about was how I really felt makes about him upset. Like what are our triggers? I believe my pastor was asking us, and I just wasn't honest in that area. Like married. I just like I said before, I was like that and people pleaser. And so I wanted to make everybody happy, and I was just sitting there like, now what answer can I give that's going to be correct? So I wasn't honest in that area. I wasn't honest. A bunch more questions are going to come after that to make me be more transparent. And at that time, I believe my pastor was asking us, transparent or open, or how do you know that you want to get married? Everything. Bottled and things like that, and even other traumas when he was asking me those things, I was just sitting there like, now what answer can I give that's going to be correct that way? Because I don't.
Okay. Is there a particular, like, if you think back now, is there a particular reason why you didn't want to be? Because here we go. You think about it. Even though you made the decision to be with this man, and even though you've admitted that that's not the person who your heart fluttered for. We'll use that term. But you decided to go through and marry this man anyway. Is there a particular reason?
I wasn't willing to let someone see me naked that way.
Okay. Is there a particular, like, if you think back now? Okay, we're going to try this again. Why you didn't want to be? I'm waiting for people to come back on. I don't know what's going on. So you made the decision to be with this man, and even though you've admitted that that's not the person who your heart fluttered for. We'll use that term. So thank you for coming back. You decided to go through and marry this man. Here we go. Is there a particular reason all the time? It's There we go.
And yes, I am an iPhone user.
I'm trying to tell you. You see my iPhone? It's still frozen. It's still frozen. Look at this. So all that good work I put in, everything that we had said, it ain't going. I'm trying to hold it so hopefully I can upload 2 videos. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to have both of them because that was good information.
It was.
The devil is mad. I already know he is. But however, I'm not gonna touch this phone because I'm hoping it'll unfreeze and I can upload the first part of the video. So anyway, let's get back to this conversation. So basically, let me do a recap. Thank you all for joining me. Those who are joining live, those who watch the replay. As you can see, we have some technical difficulty. and this is not the first time this month I've had them. So I'm going to say this is the wonderful Miss Marie Hall. She's talking about being married. She was married for 13 years, and now we're in the part of her we're talking about counseling and not being transparent and open. She did receive counseling before she got married. She disclosed the fact being that she was not necessarily in love with the person that she was marrying, and now we're kind of at that point where we're talking about why she chose not to be transparent.
You know what? I can't really say why. It may have been some of my upbringing. I come from a family where we didn't really discuss issues and problems like that. We kind of held everything in and kept it kind of private. So I've always been a person that is very private, and I don't tell my business. Just like it's only been within the last 5 or 6 years that I really become more open and transparent as God continuously works on me. I'm becoming more and more transparent in this thing, but I just wasn't one for airing my business. So even though I was in counseling, I didn't really take advantage of the counseling because I just didn't want him to be looking at me with judgmental eyes like, why did she even say yes to this man if she knew that she wasn't really in love with him, and what's really going on with this relationship right here? So if I'm being honest, I can't say for sure why I held the information back, but it's possibly some of it has to do with my upbringing and not seeing or having deep conversations. We weren't like the Huxtables where you sit down and you have a conversation and you talk about your problems and issues. You just kind of kept everything to yourself.
Okay, so hey, thank you all for joining us. This is part 2. I'm still gonna say I'm still trying to work with part 1.
Goodness.
iPhone users, I promise y'all, I only got an iPhone to be on Clubhouse, and yeah, yes. I still use my Android regularly. Anywho, so that's some good stuff, and again, thank you for being transparent and honest with this stuff. We're talking about triggers of marriage and divorce and things like that, and Miss Hall has been honest to say that, you know, she knew, one, when she was getting married, she should not have married him, but she still went through with it because they were both in the church. They were being counseled. However, she was not transparent, and that's a good thing too, because for me, I didn't do counseling like everybody else did. Me and my ex-husband, we kind of fought. He didn't want to be counseled by my pastor. I didn't want to be counseled by his pastor. And then we were just going to go ahead and do it without counseling. However, I was kind of adamant about it. So my prayer to God was, if I'm going to go through this, even though I've seen the signs and I shouldn't get married anyway, if I'm going to go through with this, I needed some type of counseling. So it just so happens that his cousin, who was a minister who we had just met, he was a pastor of a church in California, and we had just met him at a family member's funeral for the first time. And when he came to Chicago, we sat down and everybody was telling him that we were going to get married. And he began to ask us those important, deep questions pertaining to marriage and things like that. So we sat down and had a long talk. I think we talked for like maybe, I don't know, 6-7 hours straight with him in my ex-husband's grandmother's living room. And after it was all said and done and he went back to California, I told my ex-husband that nobody else could marry us. I didn't feel comfortable anybody else marrying us, since he was the one who sat down and talked with us. So the person who did counsel us ended up marrying us. We flew him back from California. However, yeah, it wasn't what we both should have done. We both know we shouldn't have gotten married. Again, me being abused before marriage and after marriage, that was a big red flag that nobody knew about. And my husband was a habitual cheater. But neither here nor there. I'm triggered by some things now just because, and one of the reasons why I was having this conversation, again, checking the box for married and single, when you have been abused on such a level that mentally, physically, emotionally, all that other stuff, it's kind of difficult. And I can't speak for everybody. It's been difficult for me to bounce back. It's been difficult for me to let my guard down in certain areas to allow another person past those walls and things like that. So being that you're single now, and you've been single for some years now, where you say you're not even counting no more, which is a good thing. That means that you moved on and past it. Are there anything after? Okay, so let me go back. Let me before I ask that question. So, in the process of your divorce, you said that you don't necessarily believe that you did everything that you could have to say, because you guys went back and forth, and when he wanted to, you didn't want to. When you wanted to, he didn't want to. You all have just one son together?
One son.
Okay, so with that being said, when it came to actually going through the divorce, one, who filed, and two, what was the actual process like, and was it a difficult process?
So the first time he actually filled out the paperwork, but never took the paperwork to City Hall to file the paperwork, even though he was telling me that he did. And that's because he didn't really want to get a divorce. And so finally, after a while, I was like, I'm going to file the papers, and we're going to go down here together, and we're going to get this notarized, and I will pay the filing fee. We did not have to have an attorney present. Um, and I filed the papers. It was amicable. Because we have a child together, and I always believe, no matter what the situation is, you don't need to mess up the child's life because you and the other person are going through something. Don't put the child in the middle, and don't use the child as a weapon. So that's always been my philosophy. And I told you earlier that my father passed away when I was 11 years old. So it was important for me to make sure that my son and his dad had a bond. I did not want to destroy that bond nor get in the way of the bond, because my father died when I was such a young child. And so that was important to me. And so our divorce was smoothly after that, even though he really was reluctant to sign the divorce papers, but he went on ahead because he knew that I didn't want to be married anymore. So he had no choice. And so after that, I remember getting the papers in the mail. I paid $80 to file my divorce.
Ooh, that's good.
$80. And then it was done. And I was just glad that that chapter was over, because I left it open so long. I left that chapter open so long that it kind of hindered me. Even though I was dating, I couldn't fully date because I still had this old baggage left, and that chapter wasn't closed, so I couldn't open another chapter. And so I'm glad that we didn't have drag out, knockout arguments and fights and things like that. But, having a child involved is still very difficult.
Right, and I commend you because when I talk to different people on here, like Nicole's been on here because we had a really heated discussion about children a couple times on here. And I think that a lot of times, not intentionally, but because there's so much bad blood, or just bad vibes between the husband and wife, they tend to kind of forget about the kid. There's two folds to this. When a child is involved in a marriage, if the marriage is not good, the child is witnessing the negativity of the couple. So that's not good for them. And then when they actually have to go through the process of the divorce, I think that people don't really take in consideration how a child may feel about now having to split homes. And for lack of better words, having to take sides, because there are those parents out there that will make a child feel like they have to choose who they want to be with, who they don't want to be with, especially when there's a huge custody battle, and things like that. So I commend you, regardless of what your reasoning was behind the fact being that you stood firm and saying, you know what, I'm not going to drag my son through the mud. I want him to have a relationship with his father. I want it to be strong. I don't want my child to feel some kind of way. Did you get your child any counseling afterwards to deal with any things, or do you?
I did not get my son any counseling, and I wish that I would, because he was so young when we first separated. And I'm gonna tell you why I made sure that um, I didn't display any ill will in front of my son. My son is very, very smart. And at 3 years old, 4 years old, I remember going to drop my son off at his dad's house. And I didn't speak to his dad. I didn't look his way. I didn't say one word. I just didn't want to be bothered. And I remember my son, after the weekend when he was with his dad, he came in the car and he said, "Mommy, you didn't even speak to Daddy. You weren't nice, and you just ignored him." This is him at three, maybe 4 years old. And from that day forth, I made it my business to make sure, no matter what I was feeling or experiencing with my emotions, I would not allow my son to see me treat his dad any type of way, because that was important. That was that much important to me, to make sure that I didn't allow my son to see me or his dad treating each other with ill will, because as you know, children tend to pick that up and they'll take that into their own relationships and with people. So I didn't want my son to have that baggage also.
Understood. That's right. So I'm reading this comment and I want to make sure I'm reading it right. Love to flow. It says, I thought I forgave. I want to say, I'm hoping you're saying my daughter's father for the unnecessary hell that he put me through and tried to separate my relationship with my daughter. And she says she loved your share. Hey, Mr. Donovan, thank you for joining us. Okay, you did. I'm sorry. I didn't see the correction. All right, cool. Well, thank you for sharing that transparency. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. People coming on here helping other people, because just because somebody you may come on here and share something that somebody not be willing, that, and for lack of better words, people all over the world are going through what we've been through. And in order to help each other heal, in order to help each other get past it, in order to help people grow, if we don't share the fact being that we went through it, made it out on the other side, and we're better for it, nobody, other people will think they're in this by themselves. It causes depression, it causes isolation. So that's another reason why I'm really adamant about doing things like this. And divorce was the thing I started off with. It seems to be going longer than I thought it was going to be, because every month I'm going to try to do something different. But I think I'm going into September still talking about divorce. So
Right.
it's amazing. So you say you didn't get your son help, but you should have. How old is your son now, if I may ask?
My son is 24 now.
Oh, grown. Okay,
He's
grown. And do
grown.
you think that your divorce by chance has tainted him towards relationships, like, or do you think that because you took the stand that you took about him having a relationship with his father, not wanting him to feel some kind of way even after you didn't speak to his father, and you corrected that action, do you think that he's better for it, or he has an understanding when it goes to his own relationships?
I think he has an understanding when it comes to his own relationships. He is not in a serious relationship now. Thank God. I'm not ready for that, but I am not ready for that. And I know that because he hasn't brought anyone to meet me. And, boys don't typically bring a woman around unless it's very serious. So I have not met anyone that he has, been in a relationship with, or just having fun with. I'm gonna say having fun with, and just seeing, because.
Okay.
But
So we talked about the child and we talked about this. So let me ask you a question. Now that you're single, living your best life, we're gonna say, doing all the things that you're doing, is there anything from your marriage and divorce that triggers you when it comes to starting new relationships? Or is there something that kind of has you, I don't want to say stuck, but however, I say for me, and this is Renee, 1-on-1 for tonight's segment. I'm kind of stuck in a certain area because, again, because of everything I've been through, I have so many walls built up that, and it's not fair to some of the gentlemen that I meet, because some things are just men things. However, some of the things that were just men things, or some of the things that my ex-husband did that causes me to think that they're red flags. So when I see the thing, immediately I shut down. I'm the type of person, I will ghost somebody in a minute, meaning that if I feel like it's a red flag, I don't even feel like I need to call you and explain myself. I'm gonna block your number, block you. 9 times out of 10, when I'm, especially when I first start to date somebody or see somebody, they don't know where I'm living at, so I don't need you. I don't need to worry about you popping up over my house or trying to come that way. You understand what I'm saying? So those are things, but I'm good at ghosting, like really good at ghosting. And again, building a relationship, that's what triggers me. So with you, has it been easy for you to date? Are you triggered by some things? Do you even desire to be married again?
I'm gonna start with that. I do desire to be married again. I love love, and God knows that I love love. Um, I wouldn't say that I have. Well, I do have some red flag moments. I know that you said that you were in an abusive marriage, and I've been in an abusive relationship before. So that's a definite no for me. If you even look like you want to be possessive or show that you want control and you got to know my every move, then that's no for me. Definitely, if you don't have your stuff together, that's a no for me. You have to have your own. You have to be doing something. You have to be motivated. You have to want to grow with me, and let's get this thing together. Like who is it? I'm gonna just use Jada and Will. Let's build this empire together, okay? Cookie and Lucius, we gonna build this empire together, right? And so I don't want nobody that's broke down, busted, and disgusted. That's a no for me. A definite no. And then also, because I am a minister, I need you to be in church. I'm sorry. I need you to really know God for yourself and have a relationship with God. So that's another no for me. If you on the fence about God, or if you're not sure where God fits in your life, then that's a no for me, because I don't need to try to grow you in God. You need to already be in God. So I'm not getting ready to grow you in God because I'm already there. So I need someone that's going to be able to pray for me, and I can pray for them, because when I'm ministering takes a lot out of you. And so I need a man that's going to be able to lay hands on me and pray for me at night or in the morning, or no, whenever or whatever is going on in our lives. We need to be able to pray together. And so I have a lot of little triggers that, or I wouldn't say triggers, but things that just I'm not going to accept at this time in my life. Maybe when I was still 26, yeah, that might have been okay, but I'm not 26 anymore. And so I'm not going to accept anything, or just foolishness from people. Or you get to going missing and I can't find you for a long time, or you get to making excuses. See, because we know when you change your habits. We're women, so we know men are they're silly like that. They change one thing, we know, and they think we don't know, but we know, because we have that woman sense about us. And so, I don't just have time for foolishness anymore. Foolishness is gone out the window. Yes, Nicole. Foolishness gone out the window. I don't have time for the games. I don't have time for the silliness. If it don't
Wait,
need
repeat
to
what you
take
just said. Repeat what
3
you just
years,
wait,
4 years for
Marie.
us to get it going.
Marie, wait, repeat what you just said, because when your
Yes.
phone rung, it muted you. It muted you out when your phone rung. So repeat what you said. The last big statement you
I don't
said.
even
I was
know what I
missing
just said.
it. That's okay. Don't worry
I don't
about
know
that.
what I
I'll
just
try to read
said.
your lips. Look, I'll try to read your lips when I go back and watch it later.
Yeah, but I just said I don't have time for foolishness anymore. The foolishness is over. So if you coming with games, or you coming with some kind of agenda, keep that there with somebody else. I don't want a man with 2 and 3, 4 women, because that ain't gonna work for me. I'm jealous, and I like all the attention. So I don't want all no man. Yes, yeah, you laughing, but I can't deal with that, because see, you might trigger my other side, and you don't want to see that other side. Yes, I might go to the left, And so you don't really want to see that other side come out. I like the side I'm in. I like peace in my life. So don't go with the foolishness on me. I can't do it.
All right then. Well, you know what? You said some stuff that I did not know, so we're gonna tap on that too. And I'm glad you mentioned. I did not know that you were a minister. I did not know that you were a minister. So let's talk about this whole thing, because tomorrow I have a wonderful man of God by the name of Marcus Brady coming on. He's a pastor of a church here in the Chicagoland area, and I met him through my pastors at the time. And he had started a ministry or a ministry or a group called D&D, which is Divorce But Not Dead, or Divorce Not Dead. And I was amazed. And the reason why I went on, and I made sure that I would go, I think it was like on Tuesdays or Thursday nights we were meeting. It was about 30 minutes from my house, but I made sure I went and I was faithful, because what I have realized is in the church house, big churches, little churches, in between churches, doesn't matter. They'll have marriage ministries, they'll have single ministries, they'll have women ministries, they'll have men ministries, they'll have children ministries, they'll have teen ministries, they'll have pick the trash up out the backyard ministries, they'll have bus broken down on the side of the road ministries. But what they tend to forget are us divorcees. And when he came up with this thing, and mind you, when he did start this, he had remarried, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. So I know it's going to be an awesome conversation. But what got me was the fact being he seen the desire and or not necessarily the desire, the need to minister to people like myself and people like you. And I really feel that, because most pastors, and if you're a pastor watching, please don't take offense to this. If you're a pastor that's never been divorced, you really, other than biblically speaking or reading what you heard or whatever have you, really don't know how to minister to a divorcee, because you have not been through it. And some of the times we come to you all for prayer, or we come to you all for advice or wise counsel, most of the answers for pretty much everything, we'll pray about it. Did God say this? That you got to work through it till death do you part. And we have to understand that this is not the society where our grandparents, or at least my grandparents, grew up in, or even my parents. Because I am 50 years old. My mother passed away at 72. My father is now 87. And I believe they came from a time where as long as you respect my household and you brought home, I take care of the bills and I do whatever happened outside the house stays outside the house. That's why we're known. If I don't know if you're from the South at all, if you have Southern roots, a lot of times people will tell you need to do some background investigation, because you actually may be dating your cousin and you don't know it, because you never know when your grandfather or your father stepped out and started another family, which could be difficult. But again, going back to the church, not knowing how to minister to me, it leaves a deficit. And I just really feel that some churches need to take more of an initiative to minister to us and not leave us to the side, even though biblically speaking, it says that we're to be put away until our husband passes away because we're divorced or whatever have you, which of course I don't think it's fair. And I'm going to talk to the Lord when I get to the gate and ask him, why did you put that in your word? Because it just kind of leaves us hanging, because we're the ones who put up with majority of the crap that they give us. But that's just my thought
And
process.
I think that you also have to look at the time period of which it was written, because it was written in a certain time period. And so it was for those people in that time period. So you have to make it applicable for 2021.
That's good. Correct me, Minister. Correct me.
I think you have to make it applicable for our lives and what we're currently experiencing now. And I think, yes, you do need to pray, but also that thing that comes with prayer is action. You have to pray and you have to put some action behind the prayer, so that you're not stuck in that place and that you're still going around in circle with the same hurt. And so you have to put some tools in place and some things in place so that you can move out of that hurt. Listen, I've been through a whole lot of hurt, so I'm not just saying something from the side of my neck. Okay, I understand hurt. I've been through a lot of hurt. Listen, and so you have to be able and willing to put some action behind your prayer. You can't just say, Lord, I'm tired. I need to get out of this. Lord, deliver me. And God is saying, well, I've delivered you. Now walk in your deliverance. Stop looking back there where you were and move forward. Stop looking back at the hurt. Stop looking back at the abuse. Stop looking back at the things that kept you bound, and let's go. Let's move. I want to take you to a place that's green and lush, but you keep looking over there back where you used to be. And so you have to intentionally now walk like you're wanting to get wherever it is that you want to go. If that's you want to see yourself in a new relationship, you want to work towards a relationship, or you just want to get out of the trauma that you experience. One, I think everybody needs to have a counselor, because counseling works. Let me tell you, back then, I wasn't really into counseling and I wasn't really honest, but I have gone to counseling and I was totally 100% honest with everything that I was experiencing and feeling. And let me tell you, counseling works if you let counseling work for you. And so everybody, I feel, should have a little counselor on the side that they can call and you know, talk through some of their things. And then two, you got to be willing to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work, then guess what? Nothing is ever going to change. And that's in every area of your life. Hey, you're a business owner. I'm a business owner. We have to put in the work. If you're not willing to put in the work, nothing is going to move. Nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to flourish. So we have to be willing to put in the work. And sometimes the work is hard. Sometimes the work hurts, because you have to sometimes revisit why you felt those things or why you went through those emotions. And so you have to be willing to revisit it, but realize, okay, I'm a visit it, but I know this is what I'm going to do differently now.
That's a lot of good points you just said there, but however, when you talk about doing the work and things like that, one of the reasons why I think that churches should implement a ministry for us is to help those of us who, or somebody like me, I've been through it now 9 years. I'm a trauma recovery coach. There's certain things that I believe I've been through and I understand, because I've been through divorce. I know what it's like. I know the roller coaster of emotions that we go through, that there needs to be a team of people that can actually understand what somebody's going through, even if the person has remarried. You know, just like Pastor Brady started this group and he had actually remarried. However, he had an understanding of what he went through during the marriage. I mean, during the divorce process, after the divorce process, when he decided that he wanted to take a wife again. Actually, one of the good things about him that I appreciate for him, he did all this while he was a pastor, not while he was just a minister at somebody's church. His divorce was like in the front of the church. So he's even more of a person that I admire and give kudos to, because you didn't probably put everybody in your business, but however, because now your lady of the church, I don't like using the term first lady, but your lady of the church is now leaving, or you know, even if she tries to stay, you all are no longer a marriage unit. The church now has to govern themselves accordingly. You know, churches suffer too when things like that happen, because you know, you got your favorite, just like with children, even though parents sometimes they say they don't have favorites. We know you always got one you might like a little bit more than the other. You love them both the same,
Right.
but it's one that just actually goes above and beyond for you and do certain things. So, you know, you have church members that will liken to one uh, leader as opposed to another. And all of that plays into play, but I just really feel like the ministry is necessary, just like you minister to singles to keep them. Because mind you, even though now I'm single again, technically singles ministries are supposed to be ministries to encourage singles to stay single and stay saved and stay pure until they decide to marry. Now, I'm single again, yes, and I can fall in under the singles ministry because now I need to be kept again. But who's going to talk to me about the stuff that I've been through? Who's going to talk to me or help me get past the traumas or the triggers that I have because I have been married. And when I'm in some of these single ministry meetings, some of that stuff is not applicable for me anymore because I've been down that road. I've already did whatever have you. So being in ministry in your church, how do you feel, or have you even thought about even starting a ministry like that to assist people who have been through what you've been through?
No, I have not thought about it, but it's a great idea. And it is needed. And I think a lot of times in churches, we're not real. We're not really real with people. We're not really transparent. I grew up Baptist. And so, in the Baptist church, it was always, you can't tell people your business because, they'll start saying and using it against you. But why not? Why can't you tell people your business? Because your testimony heals someone else. Your testimony makes someone else's faith stronger. So I never got that concept. Like, I come to church to be healed and made whole, but I can't be healed and made whole if I'm harboring and holding all this stuff in, because I can't tell nobody, because if I tell someone, they're going to use that against me. You see what I'm saying? So I think that you're right. It's definitely necessary and needed in the church for anything that you're going through, whether it's divorce or being on drugs or whatever, because guess what? Somebody in the church has experienced those things. Someone in the church has been delivered from those things. So why not allow those people that have been delivered and get some tips and tools from them on how they made it through and what you can do, because divorce is very hard and it's like grief to me. It has lots of different stages that you go through, from feeling guilt to feeling like you're depressed to feeling overwhelmed to feeling angry. It's a lot of emotions that are tied into divorce, and people don't really discuss it. You're right. We don't discuss it. We just take it and we suffer in silence and we cry on our pillow at night until it's soaking wet. And then we get up and try to pretend like everything is okay the next day.
And I'm saying this because this is something I've talked about, because I have a not-for-profit, or I have my own business, which is a coaching and consulting business, but I also have a not-for-profit that I'm going to start, of course, starting to focus. I focused on my new business this year, but I'll definitely be focusing back on the not-for-profit as well next year. And one of the things that I've learned too is, and I mean, like talking with Pastor Brady and talking to people like yourself and trying to get these ministries to understand that you can't really leave anybody out. But I've noticed when I talk to other churches, like especially mega type churches or churches that are not the small intimate churches, but the larger churches that have more resources. Like I said, they focus on the basic 5 ministries: marriage, single, children, teen, whatever have you. Every now and again, you'll find a substance abuse ministry inside. But I've never, except for, like I said, with Pastor Brady, I've never seen a divorce ministry. Just like I've never seen anybody want to come in and talk about domestic violence and suicide prevention. And those are one of the things that I've been in. My baby will be 6 years old this year. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that I talked about when I first started, but just trying to get my feet wet, get my name out there, get the organization out there. I wasn't able to focus on churches like I really wanted to. But what most ministers and pastors don't realize is that they're mandated reporters. And somebody needs to go in these churches and tell them, if somebody comes to you or you suspect that they're being abused in any shape, form, or fashion, you're supposed to not just tell them to pray, but you're supposed to kind of report it. Or make some, even if you don't necessarily report it to authorities, you have to keep some type of record on in your church, because if something was to come up and somebody finds out that you knew and you didn't document it or, do anything to keep record of it, you can be in a lot of trouble. And I just really feel like that's the same thing that should happen with all of these. I don't want to call them, I'll call them ministries of hurdles and tribulations, because drug addiction, divorce, abuse, anything that has a negative focus on it, it actually needs to be handled in such a way that, people feel comfortable enough being able to come and talk about it too.
Right.
You have to make sure you have the right people over these ministries. You have to make sure you have the right people that can talk to somebody and not talk down to the people and make them feel like that because they're divorced now, like just like the lady with the scarlet letter on her chest, that now you're like a target. You have to make sure that you're compassionate enough to understand. Like you said, a lot of people don't understand until you actually walk through it. But truly, 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 especially if you're somebody who believes in the institution of marriage, if you're somebody who believes in covenant, if you're somebody who, and you maybe not even, because I'm somebody who's always believed in covenant, so I can't speak for people who don't believe. However, um, when you lose something like that, regardless of how bad the situation was, because again, I was a domestic abuse survivor. When I separated, I got thrown out of my home. And then I got gunned down. And even though my ex-husband was not the one who necessarily did it, I tell people in a heartbeat, I believe he had something to do with it. But even in the midst of that, where, you know, some people be like, well, I don't understand why you just don't despise him. I don't understand why you don't hate him. Because of covenant, because of God's mercy, it causes me not to hate. I do have a problem with some of the stuff that I deal with, still dealing with forgiveness about certain things within that because of everything I went through. However, even in the midst of me being upset, hurt, belittled, betrayed, I still mourned my marriage. I remember a time whereas my ex-husband had lost his mom at a very young age. And you know, when you're connected to somebody when in that type of magnitude, there's always a heavy burden because I don't like to use the word soul tie, but I guess that's what everybody uses, but it is a soul tie because we had separated. We weren't officially divorced yet, and I think that's why it hit me like it was. But when Mother's Day came around that following year, I still had my mom at the time. My mom wasn't gone, but I woke up that morning like literally in tears. I had such a heaviness about me that I couldn't explain, and I didn't understand it. And it wasn't until later on that day when God showed me, because apparently he was so heavy that day. Because not only did he lose his mom, but at one point in time, him and my mom had a great relationship too. And now he can't even call and talk to her because of everything he's done to me. And I really felt like that day was like overburdening and overpowering for him. Yeah. And I felt it on me, and that caused me to grieve even more. So when we talk about this whole divorce thing, it's more than just a piece of paper and you getting rid of something. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit though, because I'm thinking about what you said about your divorce and how you only paid $80. I should have came to California and got divorced then, because my divorce is close to $5,000, and I wasn't happy about that at all. I just want to put that out there. That whole 80 and 5,000, there's two different things. And I'm just like, wow. So I think we kind of, and you did say you do desire to be married again. And I'm assuming that when you get an opportunity, but because you're so strict, and I don't blame you for being strict with the things you want.
I'm not strict. This is what I want, and I'm gonna get what I want. That's not strict. I
shouldn't say strict. I'm firm. That's the word I should use. Firm.
Yeah,
firm.
Not firm on it.
Yes, firm. I'm excited for you. I'm glad that you're open to love again. So before we close out, one, I want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure to meet you. I'm quite sure I will be communicating with you on some other level somewhere along the lines in these IG and Facebook streets. Yes. But is there any closing remarks or suggestions you have for the people who are watching? And then you could tell people how they can get in contact with you, what services you offer, and what you do, and all that other good stuff.
I would suggest anyone that is going through divorce, if you're unsure that you want to go through with the divorce, definitely seek counseling, either together and separately. That would be definitely good. And just don't beat yourself up. Listen, life is still going to go on. Even if you do have to get a divorce, life is going to go on, and you have to be willing to allow yourself to feel the hurt and go through the hurt, but know that after you've felt the hurt, it's going to get better, and things will turn itself around, and you don't have to stay in that place. definitely surround yourself with people that love you and that are only going to speak positive things to you and not want to beat you up or the other person up, because that doesn't do anyone any good if you get someone on your bandwagon that's always putting the other person down, and they might not even know what's really going on in the relationship. So you want to really seek wise counsel and a good godly counsel, if you're going through divorce. And again, if you're going to pray, I definitely believe in prayer because prayer works. But when you pray, make sure that you have action behind your prayer. Don't just pray and sit there and wait for God to do it, because he's waiting for you to do something as well. So you definitely need to put some action behind your prayers. And if I could say anything, that's what I will offer you. And just take it one day at a time. Everything is not going to happen overnight. Listen, I was depressed for 2 straight years, after my ex-husband and I just got separated. We weren't even divorced, and I was depressed for 2 straight years. And so you want to give yourself time and work on you. The very first thing you need to do is work on you, not anybody else but you, and find out what you like, what you need, what drives you, and who you are. Get back in touch with who you are. And so those are my little tidbits that I could offer. And yes, you can definitely stay connected to me. I am on Instagram as Marie S. Boatwright, and you can reach me on my website at mariesboatwright.com. I do educational consulting and tutorial service, adult education. I also do professional development for organizations, and I am a minister too. So if you need prayer, if you need someone that you need to speak to in confidence, definitely reach out to me. And I'm not one of these hokey pokey preachers. Let me tell you that I'm not no hokey pokey preacher. I'm gonna give it to you straight. So just be prepared for that. And but let me tell you, my prayers do get through.
Well,
Listen,
when
I speak a word, it's gonna happen. So you can take that to the bank. It's gonna happen. And then Rena and I are going to be together in Detroit in September. So
that's how we know each other.
That's how we know each other. Yes.
Like, okay, so how do we? Okay. Well, then I'm gonna see you in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Awesome.
We're going to be on the Leadership Experience Tour. We're going to have a fabulous time. Make sure that you go and purchase your ticket. Rena, drop your link down in the chat so they can purchase their ticket now. Because, listen, we got some phenomenal speakers that's hitting the stage, and you don't want to miss out. You're going to be so blessed. It's going to push you to your transformation, and you're gonna be changed, and you ain't gonna be the same. You're gonna get up and be like, what is taking me so long to move? So definitely purchase your ticket.
Well, thank you so much. I will put it, because unfortunately IG does not let the comments stay on the video, so I would have to put it after I post the video in the comments. But thank you for mentioning that. I'm glad. Look, I was trying to, I thought maybe we just ran each other in Clubhouse, in the Clubhouse streets of IG. So yes, we will definitely be in Detroit, Michigan on September 18th at the Leadership Experience with Sean Fair and his wonderful company. I'm excited to be a part of it, and so glad. I can't wait to meet you in person now. Definitely.
Yes.
We will definitely get together and have some more conversations. So thank you for joining me tonight.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course. So you all know how to get in touch with Miss Marie Hall now. And again, we both will be at the Leadership. Marie, once it's posted, you can also put your link in there as well. Just put in the comments field for the tickets and everything like that. So if you all tickets, if you all in the Detroit area, They are $50 to be in person. If you want to watch virtually, you will get the link the morning of, and it's $25. A little bit of nothing, and we have over, I believe, like 30 something to 40 something speakers. So it's all day. Everybody's going to come and bring something awesome to the table. I think that this experience is going to be life-changing, not just for us speakers, but for the people who are definitely watching. So thank you for mentioning that, Marie.
Yes.
So that's it in a nutshell. I so appreciate you. I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks.
I know, because I got to hug your neck.
Yes, ma'am, most definitely. So are you coming? Are you still in California now?
No, I live in Atlanta.
Okay, you come from, well, let me tell you something. I'll be in Atlanta November 6th with my tour. We'll talk about that when I see you. So, yes, I will be in Atlanta. I'm actually going to be in Alabama next weekend.
Okay.
So, yeah, I got some things going on. So, but thank you so much. I appreciate you. I can't wait to meet you in person. So, yes, after I post this video, or I think the other video posted too.
Okay.
So we're going to have part 1 and part 2. So put the link in either one of the videos or both of them is perfectly fine. If you are watching this on the replay or either live, I want to say I appreciate you all so much. Please like, share, comment, and share this with somebody, whether they're going through a divorce, whether they're contemplating marriage. I believe there are some things that have been said tonight that still will make you think and take heed to some things before you walk into a marriage. Again, we're both advocates of marriage. We're not bashing people or saying that marriage is a bad thing. We just marry people that we both know we should not have married. However, we both are, for the most part, healed from it, and we're still living our best lives, looking for are expecting the next blessing from God when it comes to relationships. So with that being said, it's been a pleasure. Marie, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you have a good night.
Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.